We'll figure it out later. We're going to go ahead and get started so I can get you guys out of here at a decent time, okay? So plan for today is we're going to continue just kind of reviewing the genres that we had went over last time. Just continuing to try to guess what genre certain movies or books belong to just based off of, an abstract or like a movie trailer. And then what we'll do is... we'll take a little bit of a peek at what like next week looks like, and I think that'll be most of it, right? Yeah. So actually, let's and also I want to tell you what I want you guys to do for me for Tuesday as well. So let's kind of reverse that. And okay, Josie, and tell you guys what you're going to be doing for, or what next week looks like. So next week you've got academics on Monday and Tuesday, normal classes or whatever. We'll be having our normal meeting on Tuesday, and then after that you're done academics. You talked about that. So June 9th is the last day of academics, and then next week you're going to have 2 days of it's like a scavenger hunt. That Miss Colley and Miss Trahan, Miss Lattimore are putting together for you guys. It's like a goose chase, and they'll be posting the details of the goose chase starting on Wednesday, okay? And you'll be asked to go and find different things and do different things and post them. So more details that incoming. And then on Friday of next week, myself, Mr. Dillon, and Miss Tulene are going to be doing some trivia, all different kinds of trivia, and we're going to be doing that via Kahoot, and that's going to be at our normal time on Friday at 2 via the live stream. So we're going to do a live Kahoot, and then the following week on Monday we've got field day. Tuesday is going to be another round of trivia with myself, Mr. Dillon, and Miss Tulene, and then Wednesday we're just going to have a day to say goodbye to you guys as you head off to summer, and that's sort of like the rest of the year, okay? So you guys will be able to look for details on the goose chase and the trivia coming next week, and your calendar that'll be on the remote learning site will look a little bit different because it will have like a big column that just says goose chase or a big column that just says trivia. You're not going to have individual class assignments, so that will be that, okay? So that's kind of what next week's looks like. What I'm going to have you guys do for me for Tuesday is a light assignment, but one that sort of anticipates summer, is you guys are going to be doing a brainstorm for me for books that, or regarding books that you might want to read during summer vacation, right? So this is going to be posted right after the live stream today. And all I want you to do is I want you to think about books that you've heard of from friends or you've read about or you know of, or books that you research that you think you want to read over the summer. You're probably going to read more than 5 books, but the 5 that I'm asking you to think of now are a great start, okay? So what you're going to do simply is you're going to identify, book 1 that you want to read via the title or through the title here, who the author is, and you're going to tell me what genre you think the book belongs to based off of what you know about it, or if even you can find what the genre is, you're going to put that in here. So it's in anticipation of what you're going to read over the summer, and it's also just a little bit of practice identifying books according to genre, which is what we've been practicing as well. So this is going to be your assignment for Tuesday, okay? Is just doing some work around the summer reading piece and doing a little bit of planning, and that will be all you have to do, and that will be what you do for me on Monday, and we'll take a look on Tuesday. The other thing that we're going to do next Tuesday during our final academic live stream is I'm going to put together a Kahoot for you guys regarding the different elements of fiction and other concepts that we've learned since we went to remote learning, and we're going to have a nice Kahoot and we can see who can remember the most about the different concepts that we've learned via that Kahoot. So it's just a fun thing. It's not like a test or anything. We'll just see what you guys can remember, and that will be sort of the last thing that we do academically next Tuesday. And then I'll see you on Friday for trivia, okay? So that is sort of what is coming up. So any questions about what is coming up? I need ideas for books. Okay, so you'll think about what resources you can use to go and get some ideas for books. Comics do not count. Graphic novels can count. You can read comics, but they're not gonna give you the rigor that you need in order to fully engage and, keep your reading up to snuff over the summer, right? So any other questions that you guys have? Is this all mandatory? Are the assignments that I give you mandatory? Yeah. That's why they're called assignments and not suggestions. And summer reading is also mandatory. Yeah, you have to read over the summer. Is it okay if we miss some because we have other things? I don't know what you're talking about, Nathaniel. I don't know what things you're talking about. Lord of the Rings is a good suggestion, Sarah. Yeah, and we'll be able to brainstorm and give suggestions to people on Tuesday as well that we can maybe even add into the 5 that we come in with, for sure. So, Nathaniel, I just have to clarify your questions. I'm not sure what you mean, what things you're talking about. Is it okay if we miss some? Some of what? I mean, yeah, you can ask. I just don't know what you're talking about. That's all. Any other questions that you guys have? And you can say no questions if you don't have any questions. Give you guys a minute to think. So questions about what does next week look like, questions around what I want you to do for me for Tuesday, anything at all. Some of the okay. So you'll get summer work for math and ELA, and the expectation will be that when you go to 7th grade, you'll have done that stuff. And one thing I would just suggest as you guys are getting a little bit older is you should think about school as your job, and very rarely is I had personal stuff come up a good excuse to not have done your work. I have personal stuff come up every single day, but I still do my work. Okay, cool. Awesome. So let's dive back into the genre work. All right. And if you guys remember, we looked at fiction and nonfiction as categories of genres, and then we looked at different genres that fell under the categories of fiction and nonfiction, okay? So if you check out right here, the fiction categories were realistic fiction, historical fiction, traditional, fantasy and fairy tale, science fiction, drama, and poetry. And then the nonfiction pieces that we looked at were biography, autobiography, and informational. Okay? I feel like we've got a strong sense of the fiction genres. We went over those well. And I'll remind you guys of the nonfiction genres. So if you remember, biography is a story about somebody's life. It's a true story because it's nonfiction, but it's written by somebody else, right? That's done research. Autobiographies are books that are written by the person that they're about, right? So if, Ben Franklin wrote an autobiography of himself, right? And he actually wrote that book about his life. And then informational texts are like what you read on Newsella, newspaper articles, all that sorts of stuff. Very broad genre category there, okay? So let's look at this book. It's Coming Back Stronger by Drew Brees, all right? So, Coming Back Stronger is the ultimate comeback story, not only of one of the NFL's top quarterbacks, but also of a city and team that many had all but given up on. Bree's inspiring message of hope and encouragement proves that with enough faith, determination, and heart, you can overcome any obstacle life throws your way, and not only come back, but come back stronger. Okay? So let's take a close look at the cover of the book here, okay? So we know that the title is Coming Back Stronger. We know that this is a book by Drew Brees. So we want to think about who's this book about. And what do you think is up with this with Chris Fabry bit right here, right? Why is it by Drew Brees but with Chris Fabry, okay? So keeping all of these things in mind, which genre do you think this book belongs to? First, ask yourself, is it fall into the fiction or nonfiction category? And then think about what genre under those categories it would best fit, okay? So I'm going to leave the list here for you for a second. And in the chat, just tell me which genre you think it belongs to and why you think it belongs to that genre. We'll stay here for just a few more seconds. Let's see what you guys came up with. That might be a good excuse. Good job, Nathaniel. Good job, Nathaniel. So both Nathaniels have it right here. It's an autobiography. And we got a couple pieces that are important here. So they're remembering that autobiography is when the author is writing a story about their life and they're the author. They, participate in the authorship. Nathaniel's also identifying the fact that this with Chris Fabry thing refers to those ghost writers that I was talking about. The writers that help these people end up putting their work into a book. Remember, writing a book is hard. It requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of skill, a lot of practice. And sometimes people have a really, really important story to tell, but they might not be the strongest writer. So they hire these people to help them write their books, right? It's still an autobiography because we've got our character, our person here, Drew Brees, who's, very active in the process of writing, but they had some help. And that's fine. That's fine. It's still not a biography. A biography is if you've never maybe even talked to that person, or you just had an interview or two and you did a bunch of research. Okay. Yep. Very good. Very good, Sarah. Yep, awesome. All right, let's go on to the next one. This one's a trailer, so we're going to check out the trailer, and then we'll think which one you guys think this belongs to.
I'm really proud of you for going on this trip.
You're gonna have so much fun. And remember, if something chases you, run.
We have learned more in the past decade from genetics than a century of digging up bones. a whole new frontier has opened up. We have our first genetically modified hybrid.
You just went and made a new dinosaur?
Probably not a good idea. Almost 40 feet high. Really think she climbed out?
Depends.
On what?
What kind of dinosaur they cooked up in that lab? Evacuate the island. She's a highly intelligent animal. She will kill anything that moves.
Oh, God.
Did you guys see the second Jurassic World? It was really dumb. All right, so let's see what you guys think. What genre does Jurassic World belong to? I'll live the genres up here. So first ask yourself, is it fiction or nonfiction? And then get the genre out of that category. So remember, your fiction category or genres are on the left. Your nonfiction genres are on the right here. So which one? Think really, really carefully about this one. And then if you want to tell me why you think it's that genre as well, that will be really good practice. And you can do that right in the chat. And I'll come check on you guys here. We have science fiction, fantasy. Sure. Oh, sorry, Bella. Yeah, no problem. What else we got here? Science fiction. Nathaniel says because dinosaurs are very difficult to replicate their DNA. Has some science. Realistic fiction mixed in. It could have. That's one of the best ways to think about it, Nathaniel. Is like, could this in the future possibly happen? That's like maybe the defining quality of science fiction. It's not like completely out there. It doesn't have like magic. It's just like, you know, technology we don't have yet, right? It just couldn't happen soon. Perfect. I think that, yeah, it is science fiction for sure, and I think that that's a great reason, right? In this movie, the characters are using science that doesn't quite exist yet, or doesn't exist in the advanced way to, you know, create a new dinosaur, like to clone dinosaurs or whatever, to create the situation, right? Yeah, they're growing dinosaurs. Yep, science fiction. Not quite fantasy. Fantasy usually has got that magic element to it, Melanie. It's close, but not quite. Yep, good job, DJ. Good job, Josie. Acts futuristic. Nicely done. Yeah, awesome job. Very nicely done. All right, let's go on to the next one, folks. All right, so this one's a book. We'll see what you guys think. So this one's a little bit tricky. Number the Stars by Lois Lowry. As the German troops begin their campaign to relocate all the Jews of Denmark, Anne-Marie Johansson's family takes in Anne-Marie's best friend, Ellen Rosen, and conceals her as part of the family. Through the eyes of 10-year-old Anne-Marie, we watch as the Danish resistance smuggles almost the entire Jewish population of Denmark, nearly 7,000 people across the sea to Sweden. The heroism of an entire nation reminds us that there is pride and human decency in the world, even during a time of terror and war. So this is a book taking place during World War II, okay? World War II, Germany, right? Or Denmark. So thinking about that, what genre do you think it belongs to? Start again with, is it fiction or nonfiction? And then try to figure out which genre after that, okay? Remember, Lois Lowry is a contemporary author. She's the same woman who wrote The Giver, okay? She's not a character in the book. So what do you think? It won a Newbery Medal, which is always for fiction, right? What genre do you think this belongs to and why? See what you guys are thinking. Sarah thinks historical fiction. Okay. Let's keep going. See what others are going to think here. So, Nathaniel, think about this. Is it a true story, or is it a story that the author made up about a specific time and place, right? Is it about a person that actually lived or not? And that will get you to the answer. It's one of the two that you have. Yep. Yes. We'll talk about this in a minute, Haley. Good. Realistic. Almost, Saoirse. Almost. Okay, so this one's historical fiction, and here's why. It's like realistic fiction, right? Well, all fiction tells a story, right? But realistic fiction isn't as reliant on a particular time in history, right? Historical fiction, in order for the story to work, has to happen in a specific moment in time and at a specific place, okay? So here you've got a narrative that's about, the displacement of the Jews during and leading up to World War II, okay? In Europe, Denmark, Germany, etc. So this story can only be told in World War II Europe. It doesn't make sense if you set the story in 1831. It doesn't make sense if you set the story in 1962. It has to take place between like 1937 and 1945 in this particular place in the world. When you have that very strict circumstances, those very strict stipulations about if this literature is going to work, it has to take place at a very specific time and place. The setting is essential for the story to make sense. That is historical fiction. It is realistic, but it's completely reliant on a specific time and place, and that shoves it into historical fiction territory. Also, it's a story. It's not about a person who actually lived, and so that shifts it out of the realm of biography as well. Yep. Nice job, guys. Really good thinking here. Let's do another one.
Once upon a time, in an enchanted kingdom, there was a beautiful princess with skin as white as snow and hair as black as night.
Blah, blah, blah. Her hair is not black, it's raven, and she's 18 years old, and her skin has never seen the sun, so of course it's good.
This spring,
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Who's the fairest of them all?
Snow White.
What? Snow White.
a classic tale
Do you want to hear it?
gets a new wrinkle.
They're not wrinkles. They're just crinkles. Banish her to the woods.
Is it done?
Just as you instructed.
I'm impressed. You're not as pathetic and wimpy as I have always believed.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
You're invited to discover
The prince is rich. I'm going to marry him, and then my financial problems will be solved.
an untold adventure
Organize a ball. We are going to sweep this kid off his feet.
of romance,
I think Snow White is the most beautiful woman in the whole world.
Agreed to disagree.
mystery,
Who are you?
Snow White.
No, who? No way!
power,
This doesn't fit.
Well, you must have shrunk it, cinch me up. I knew I was the same size.
and magic.
I'll use the love potion. Puppy love. What am I supposed to do with a puppy?
You can rub my tummy.
Queen is getting married.
Take back your kingdom. I read so many stories where the prince saves the princess. It's time we change that ending.
You're with the bandits?
You're with the queen.
Should we help her?
She's doing pretty good on her own.
If you weren't trying to stab me right now, I might be tempted to kiss you.
The bandit's leader is a she.
Bandit's leader is Snow White.
Who feels like crashing a wedding?
And here I was having such a good day. Everyone has magic within them. Yes. I definitely have a happily ever after thing going on.
Mirror, mirror.
This one's super
Anyone know how to
tricky.
break a spell?
Super tricky. So I'm wondering what you guys think here. What genre do you think it belongs to? Again, start with your categories. Is it fiction or nonfiction? And then try to place this one. I think this one's super tricky to place. I'm really interested to see what you guys think. For your answers, do let me know the why, right? Why is it that you picked that particular one? Because I think that there's a few here that could work. So let me know, what genre does Mirror Mirror belong to? Bye, Josie. Thanks. Okay. Drama in this case, Nathaniel, is going to refer to a play. If you've got drama, it's always going to be written as a play. Fantasy. Yep. Traditional. Good one, Sarah. Yep. Yeah, I think fantasy makes a lot of sense. DJ saw magic, and so immediately his mind went to fantasy. Same thing with Haley. Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable. Sarah's thinking, yes, and the premise of the story is a traditional one, right? Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is definitely a story that falls into that traditional genre, and it's heavily informed by it. So, yeah, so it's always usually going to be a text, Nathaniel. That's okay. Thank you for asking. So there's a difference between like drama, like, oh man, there's drama in that story, like versus like a piece of drama is a play. That's another way to see it. I think you could go either with traditional or fantasy here and have a really good argument. It's probably somewhere in between those. If I was to put a label on it, I would probably say, I don't know, maybe fantasy. Let's do another one. So this one's another book. This one's called The Monster's Ring by Bruce Coville. Russell goes into a magic shop and he ends up buying a monster's ring. He doesn't really believe it's magic, but when he puts it on his finger, twists it once, and then says the magic words, he turns into a monster. So what's the genre of this book, right? If you were the librarian trying to place this one on the shelf, would you be placing it in the fiction or nonfiction section? And then which genre within those sections would you place it in? What do you think? This one maybe is a lot easier than the last one. See what you guys are thinking. Let's see here. Fantasy. Yeah, he turns into a monster. It's magic. Yep, fiction's the category. Fantasy's the genre. Good. Yep. Remember, guys, fiction is not a genre, though, right? Fiction is a category. So you'd put it in the fiction section, and then it would be under the fantasy genre. Very good. Nicely done, Nathaniel. Nicely done, Nathaniel. Nicely done, Melanie. Good job, Sarah. Yep, fantasy because there's monsters. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, good. Nicely done. All right, let's see if we can do one more or so before we do this one. Oh my gosh, you guys want to do the Titanic slide? What else is there? Is that a little bit too mushy? Do I have any other ones? Let's do Batman since we only have a few more.
So you know about him?
Of course. Do you think he's coming back?
I don't know.
What are you?
I'm Gotham's reckoning.
just away now.
So you guys get the picture here, because I want to do another one too. What genre would like a Batman movie belong to? And I think Batman's a really interesting one because it's like maybe a little bit different than like other superhero movies. But if you just have Batman, you know, Batman story, what genre would that belong to? Fiction or nonfiction for the category, and then what genre underneath those categories. See what you guys are thinking. So Nathaniel thinks realistic fiction. Okay. I think that that's interesting, right? Because it's not like Superman or something that like you've entered into the fantasy element of things. And I think like the technology in Batman's like, you know, it's not as over the top as say something like Iron Man. Yeah, it is a pretty traumatizing movie. Ah, Melanie says traditional. That's really interesting. I had to think about that. Melanie's thinking like, okay, well, like a Batman story is part of that like common conscious. Like everybody knows Batman and sort of like the origin story. So would it be counted as traditional? I don't know. I mean, Batman as a story is like, you know, it's about 100 years old, a little bit less, and it might be traditional. Really interesting. Sarah says fantasy because if it was realistic fiction, Batman would be arrested. Okay. Nathaniel thinks sci-fi. That's what I was thinking too, Nathaniel, right? Because the technology is like a little bit more advanced than we'd have now. It seems like it could take place slightly in the future. But I really think that this is an interesting one because this is a super tough one to put a label on. And it brings us back to one of the points we made last time, which is, you know, a lot of the time stories can belong to multiple genres, right? And we ultimately have to make a decision, right? So maybe it would depend on the like sort of like the librarian or whoever's categorizing this to say, oh, this is science fiction, or no, everyone knows a Batman story, so like this is traditional, or no, it's so outrageous, it's, you know, it's fantasy, or it's just close enough to be realistic fiction. Yep. So no, this is a really complicated one. Okay, so we got time for one more. We're gonna do one more. Let's see what else I got. I don't want that one. I don't want that one. Okay, yeah, the perfect one to end on. Let's see what this one is.
Chocolate!
Oh, Greg.
I'm not going in with a stain on my pants.
Fine.
Poop! He's pooped his pants! It's chocolate! See?
On March 25th, Greg.
Did you drink all the soda?
Rowley.
This is what happens when we go to sleep. I'm never going to sleep ever again!
Fregley. Sharag. Patty.
Don't make me beat you up again!
Manny. Holly.
Hi, Fregley. Sticks on Fregley.
It's gonna hurt. And Roderick. Get in. In a whole new chapter of the wimpiest saga of all time.
I'm in the ladies.
About time, little bro.
You learn the secrets to an easy life.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Roderick rules.
Rule number 1, always lower mom and dad's expectations.
I took a math test today and I'm pretty sure I flunked it.
Oh, Greg.
But look, I got a C-.
At least you didn't fail.
All right, so what genre do you think Diary of a Wimpy Kid belongs to? Both the movie and the literature. Let me go back here. So Nathaniel says realistic fiction. A lot of kids are not super popular and smart, good looking, or cool like Greg. The story could happen to anyone. Yeah, I think that realistic fiction makes sense, right? It's definitely it leans towards being like really funny, and it definitely places the characters in some extraordinary circumstances. But overall, I mean, yeah, nothing in this that happens, couldn't happen to a real kid, right? Yeah, it's realistic fiction. And I think it's like, it's kind of like what Nathaniel was mentioning. It's like meant to sort of like maybe like alleviate some anxiety that people have about like, having to like do perfect things or like, be perfect all the time. Yep, absolutely. Really, really good. All right, nice work, guys. So what I want to do now is great work. We had a lot. There's some more on here, but I think you guys are doing a great job thinking about it. A separate category for humor. Yeah, I think that would be the best place to put this one for sure, Miss Brennan, because the purpose of it is definitely to like make people laugh, right? Poor kid. I know. It is funny. Sarah sat on chocolate before. Yep. So what I want to do really quickly is just say again what I want you guys to do for next week, and then we'll go ahead and have our Google Meet, and I've got some good questions for you guys today. So again, what you guys are doing is for Tuesday, you're going to go ahead and complete the summer reading brainstorm activity. 5 texts you're interested in reading, do a little bit of research, ask around. You can go to Goodreads. There's a lot of places to go. Miss Brennan has some awesome suggestions. She can give you the link to the library's website that has suggestions. Lots of great things. You can email me. I'm happy to answer too, though I certainly know less about it than Miss Brennan. She's the expert. Title of those books, authors, really important in case you are wherever you're looking for them, and then the genre of the literature. This is sort of like the thinking work that I want you to do around which genre it belongs to or which genre you think it belongs to. Okay, so this is what we're going to look at on Tuesday, in addition to having a Kahoot at our normal time. Okay, so that is that, and this will be posted on Classroom as a new assignment. Which is where we'll be chatting right after our Google Meet. So any questions from you guys before we end the stream and head over to the Meet? And if you don't have any questions, you can say no questions. If you do have a question, feel free to ask it right now. You guys hear Vivi barking at nothing? Any questions at all? Or just let me know you don't have any just by saying no questions. Reload here. No cues. Yep, we do have a Google Meet. Oh, look at that, Miss Brennan. Thank you so much. All right, folks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Just give me 1 minute. I'll turn the Google Meet link on, and you'll find it at the top of our Google Classroom page. So thank you so much for coming. If you're not heading to the Meet, if you are heading to the Meet, I'll talk to you in just a minute. Thanks so much.